Yo, 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 what's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Nate the Great coming at you with another live. You already know if you're new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. To all the returning friends and family, you already know it's peace and blessings. I'm gonna give you some time to tune in case these notifications ain't go out. First things first, you already know. Hopefully, everybody having the blessed and productive Taco Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. Hopefully, everybody was smoothly able to get through the work day. Hopefully, your kids is able to get through the school day. Those celebrating birthdays, hopefully you're enjoying yourselves and continuously enjoying yourselves. Another year, another blessing, you know. Appreciate everybody that tuned in Thursday for the conversation. Definitely was a great one. You know, definitely hit on some key, some key points that was needed. And I did say I was going to delve deep into that, and I definitely will. So, but for those that missed it, definitely catch the replay. Um, bring a few things to the light today. Might not be too crazy on here tonight, but I do want to discuss just a couple of things. Um, First things first. Well, most of y'all already done got that news. Another possible government shutdown. But yeah, another tactic, at least in my opinion, it's another tactic to try to just stifle certain things from happening. Um, I'll be honest with you. When it comes down to the healthcare and the way it's done, I'll be honest with you. I'm the first one to say that all of that should be updated and revised, if anything. Um, with the different technology that is out there now, especially in the medical field, that could help, you know, it doesn't hurt to add, you know, extra additives basically to the bill. I've always felt like that. Everybody deserves proper health care. You know, in some instances, there are some people who are not going to be able to afford the health care as far as paying. So, shouldn't they still be entitled to health care overall? I mean, you got to think about it. In the long run, you know, still human beings. So we all supposed to have just about the same rights and provisions that are needed. Serious, baby. Taco Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. I mean, if you think about it, I feel like in some instances, instead of going in that tactic as far as shutting down the government because of certain things, uh, how about y'all just reason for once? Royal, baby. What's going on, sis? Geraldine, baby. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Um, I mean, I honestly feel when it comes down to that, again, we all human beings. So we all should have the equal rights and standards when it comes to the quality of life. Um, for those who are having trouble, you know, I feel like this. Those are the ones that really deserve the help and and the benefits, especially if they know for a fact they can't really do it. Didi, baby. Like I always felt like that. There are certain bills. I don't really do the politics talk, but when I do, I'm going to say something logical and I'm going to say something fair. So, being logical and fair, um, from the outside looking in, there are certain bills that are definitely supposed to be updated and revised because there's a lot of things that have changed over the course of history. You know, And again, everybody deserves fair quality when it comes down to life and how they live life. You know, we've seen that throughout the course of history, there are some people who are just never going to be able to afford health insurance. So why should they still have to suffer because they can't? You know, you got to think about it. There are poor people out here right now who can't do nothing. They still are entitled to have health care and benefits and coverage because, again, they are still human beings. So blessed, baby. What's going on? What's going on? Chrissy, baby. What's going on, baby? You know, and I'm just being honest. You know, like I say, everybody deserves quality health care. Everybody deserves a fair shot when it comes down to life, for real. You know, things that people want to have arguments about minute when it comes down to real important topics like this. Think about it. They can't come to an agreement, so now the government has to shut down, which means people are going to lose jobs for God knows how long, or they'll be on furlough. Um, there's a lot of different things that could be affected. Yeah, some of y'all should be scared. Not to be funny, some of y'all should be scared. You know, especially if it's not no form of, you know, private owned whatever. Yeah, they mess around. If they decide they want to shut the power off, they could do so. And who's to stop them? I've always felt when it came down to that aspect of life, as far as healthcare is concerned, why is it so hard for y'all to come to terms and come with some form of agreement where everybody benefits? And especially when it does come down to the elderly too. You know, there are some things that y'all should change, at least for them. Shoot, some of these people are vets, and you know, vets from the Army, Air Force. Some of these people work damn near their whole life. You know, like, come on now. You don't think that that's important to at least try to change up that factor for them, the ones that came before us? You know, like, yeah, it's crazy. You know, when you think about it, that's, in my opinion, is selfish. Because I always feel for certain bills and certain things y'all want to run into regulation, y'all should do updates and revisals on things. Or shoot, come up with a whole new bill that actually might work for something. See, in some instances, we know it's just about money. You know, it's always going to be about that capitalism over everything else. But this is human life we're talking about. You know, money could be reprinted and duplicated, but life can't. And it's crazy that some people don't even get the real chance to do anything, or they can't do anything because they have to go through loops and hurdles. In some instances, I blame the able-bodied people who, over the course of God knows how long, decided instead of trying to do things the right way and the legit way, what better way to get above anybody than to scam? You know? See, there's a lot of different scenarios that is a reason for some of the things happening there, or the reason why, you know, there's certain things that can never come together and actually prosper. Sis, I know you hit that like button. I see you up in here. Like, hold on one second, y'all. Hold on one second. Let me catch up with everybody real quick. And let me make sure. Yeah, y'all know I'm on extra duty right now. But yeah, you know, you gotta think about that. You know, why is it so hard for a country to say that they're the richest, and in the same token, be pulling broke moves? In my opinion, pulling broke tactics. How does that work? How does that feel? Like I said, you have people out here who are homeless, and they only homeless because they got themselves in situations, or they thought they was able to do certain things the way they supposed to, and then here comes the bump in the road that messes up everything for them. You gotta think about it. When it comes down to financial gain, you know, it's sad because you have people who are working hard and trying to do everything possible. Some people are not as able to do certain things because they might have certain limits and conditions. So the ones that really do have limits and conditions, those should not be the ones suffering. The ones who paved the way and did what they were supposed to do should not have to suffer. But it's also a due diligence to make sure that if you're going to be doing certain things, like giving out certain public assistances and everything else, that you do a thorough job. I've always felt it's not just about what you present. In some instances, they only worry about what you give them as far as information. But you need to make sure that that information is legit information all around the board. This way you won't have people scamming. This way you won't have people slipping through the cracks. You know, there are a lot of different things that should be changed for real. And it would be beneficial because again, you won't have people who are, I'm sorry, there are some lazy ass people out there. They would rather find a way to get an easy come up than to try to actually get out there and produce something on their own. Now again, excluding the ones who really have disabilities where they really can't work, can't do much, and can't afford much. Ones who probably are just getting back on their feet, you know, those ones are out the equation because they have legit reasons why they can't produce as much as they should produce. James number 8, what's going on, my guy? For those that just tuned in, make sure y'all hit that like button. Share the live out. See, now I know that you really got to be repetitive when it comes to certain things. So, you got to think about it. It's crazy because in some instances, it's not going to affect some people. But then you got to think about the ones who it will affect. Like, prime example, the able-bodied ones who are taking and taking, right? But look how much you've taken away, not just from the system itself. Look what you've taken away from people who actually needed it and could have benefited from that. See, I always feel when it comes down to certain scenarios, the pie or whatever you want to call it, it's supposed to be split even. You know, you gotta think about it. That's just like somebody who is waiting eons, prime example, for an apartment. That's a long waiting list. Or that's like for those who are going for the city jobs, like transit and stuff like that. That's a long ass waiting list. You don't know when you're going to be called, which is a sad thing about it. You know, you gotta look at life like that sometimes. Sometimes you're not gonna always get what you're supposed to get, but you make do with what you can make do with. For the able-bodied ones who keep taking advantage of the system, just know that you are constantly destroying those who actually need it. And no one could actually benefit from that. Some people take certain things for granted. And these are things that shouldn't be taken for granted. Your health is one of them. You know, the way you live life, Shouldn't be taken for granted. Your overall just mental state definitely shouldn't be overlooked. So these are the things you got to remember. Exile's going on. What's going on? Like, let's be real. Some of y'all messed up because, again, look how many people could have benefited. Look how many people could have been in a better position than what they are right now. But I can also say you can't blame just the able-bodied ones for taking advantage. Again, some of it does go back on the ones who are supposed to be making those official decisions for somebody, right? So when you're not doing a full, thorough check in the background on certain things and make sure there's nothing out the loop that goes against what you're trying to do, uh, you don't think that's what's going to keep causing and creating some of the tensions that we have now? I mean, I'll be real with you. You know, yeah, I'm just being real with y'all, man. Like, it's a lot of different things we need to focus on. Right now it's getting to a point where it's like you're tired of the shutdowns. And you're definitely tired of, you know, worst case scenarios where it can affect people. You know, I've always felt again that the healthcare part of everything, when it comes down to any politics that I might speak about, I'm more of an advocate too for healthcare to be changed on different levels. But again, the ones who have already been benefiting from it, the ones who actually do need it, they shouldn't have to suffer because there's people who have probably schemed and scammed. You know, that's why I don't get into politics to a degree because the questions that would be asked, I know I can't say much, and I'm trying to avoid anything. So you know, I'm gonna keep it raw and uncut still, but hey, I'm only going to talk but so much about it. But again, possible government shutdown. What does that mean for everybody? So that's something that some of y'all should be really thinking about. It's a lot of things they trying to like cancel out. You know, And these are things that at some point could affect the way even how you pay your bills. We would focus on melodrama and juicy gossip and everything else. But when it comes down to things that could possibly affect everybody, like even down to this healthcare thing, we don't really sit down and talk about it. That's why it's good to have these conversations. It's good to get the people involved and just, like I said, show the world that look, you do have people who are capable of bringing solutions and solutions that really should be listened to. Because again, how can you improve the quality of life when you're not given the tools or the necessary resources for it? At least it's those instances. Everything else, shit. I'll be honest with you. You utilize what you do have to make something happen. Scared money don't make no money. So if you know you at least blessed to do certain things, you ain't gotta be um super luxurious rich. But if you know you could do enough, like even invest in a business or do something else along those lines, why not take that money and do that? Instead of trying to keep up with the Joneses, instead of trying to do certain things that you know for a fact is not going to bring not going to bring no monetary value to you. There's things you have to think about. Your goal should be trying to build on all levels of life. But for some people, it will be hard to do that because look at what's being presented. You have people who come here and get quicker assistance than the people who actually were born and raised here. And I talked about this while back. And I'm not being funny. I'm not taking no shots at anything. I'm being logical. You got people who will come here off the rip and get something before the people who actually been here and been needing it. It's unfair. Like, let's think about it. A destitute person from a whole nother country will get assistance before somebody who was destitute hit and probably been trying to get themselves in order. Make that make sense? When it comes down to priorities or how they do certain things, it's never beneficial for those who have been here, which is sad. Keith, what's going on, my guy? That's why I said when it comes down to these talks, it's good to have them. It's good to get the people involved. Why? Because again, there are a lot of things that could affect us, and there are a lot of things that probably won't. The ones that I feel won't, I won't be discussing them like that. But the things that I know could, hey, be prepared for it. I've always felt it was a two-way street when it came down to how things are done. I think about it. If you are in a high position and you know you could make critical decisions, right? You still gonna make those critical decisions. And when I mean critical decisions, I mean if you're really not gonna do a thorough investigation to make sure everything is everything, and you don't got no surprises to worry about. You don't have to worry about possibly giving those type of benefits to the people that don't necessarily need it. Whose fault is that? And it's a two-way street. Yeah, it's the person's fault that's scheming and scamming because you should know better. You know that is not right, especially when you can be affecting multiple others. But you think they care? But the thing is, if you don't approve it, then they can't do it. Like they was giving out all these PPP loans, prime example. And you see what's happening with that now. Some people definitely going down, or they paying back, or it's getting taken from them as soon as they do get some form of big money. But again, if you don't approve these things, you don't have that type of debt to worry about, or you don't have to worry about, damn, we gave money to the wrong type of individual. Come on now. But yeah, just levels to it for real. Things that we really should be focused on and trying to help change or trying to at least push for the change and focusing on it until it really does become an issue. And now you have to. Appreciate you for dropping those links, serious baby. Working harder than this damn security camera, baby. Yeah, but you just think about that. If you don't have these number of people getting over on the system at hand, you don't think some of the things that are being messed with won't get at least better? It's something to think about, for real. Like, it was a lot of people that was crying about Section A and everything else, but in the same token, you gotta look at how many people have actually just kept the thing going. Some instances, we all supposed to do our part. It's just the way of life. supposed to be able to work hard, do your due diligence, take care of what's necessary, make sure you and your family's afloat, but you're still supposed to work. Now, if you can't work for specific reasons, then again, yeah, you should be able to be assisted because shouldn't nobody be homeless as well either. But here it is. We have a problem when it comes down to the homeless population too. So, these are things to think about. There are some things that could possibly be changed. See, like prime example, there are some things that could change if y'all would start trying to at least take down the price on certain situations. If the cost of rent would stay at a stable price, prime example, you get less people moving out of certain areas. You would get less businesses closing down because of the high rent prices. Oh, it's another thing because I feel that's what adds to the homeless population. Like I said, rent or any form of bill payments you got to pay where you're living at. If that shit is skyrocket high, forget about it. You might be in a position where you're not making as much, or you might be making the bare minimum. And sometimes the bare minimum might not be enough. So, what break are some people getting? Or how can you possibly keep people from going homeless? I mean, you're not trying to really find an issue to help, or well, find the answers to help. I honestly feel when it comes down to some situations, it's good to have a form of investment somewhere. Like I said, just in case of a rainy day. But again, you got to work with the people. And that's the one thing I noticed, like I said, there's just some scenarios where the people won't work with each other. You know? Now, if a person is going homeless, right, and it's only because of them not being able to afford where they living at. You don't think you should try to work with them to at least try to balance something out where they could possibly still keep themselves in? In some cases, it's almost like a first come, first serve, and in other instances, it's also the money talks. Because you fail to realize that in some scenarios where the cost of living could be going up, it's a problem. And you're only going to be able to do but so much before it becomes a hassle and before it could actually do damage to you. But it's sad that the minute you go through a small situation where you possibly almost could go belly up, it's like you get shoot out into the trash and that's it. Definitely unfair on that situation right there. It is. And I can only speak for those who actually was doing what they were supposed to be doing, living accordingly, and things just happen. I feel like if a person is always on time when it comes down to their bills and how they handle shit, then yeah, they should be a priority. Yeah, they should be able to work with you. You should be able to work with them. But again, money talks. I would say for some people outside of the city that are fortunate enough to purchase property and purchase land, y'all should take the advantage while you can. Take advantage and definitely try to reap the benefits. But see, that's the thing though, in some instances, because no matter what you try to do to stay afloat, sometimes you're gonna have severe hell to pay just to make sure it stays that way. And it's sad because again, let's be real. You all should be entitled to have the amenities that we know are going to be beneficial for life. Quality health care, that's one of them. Trying to make sure that we don't have homeless families and just homeless people out there, period. That's something that could be taken care of, at least little by little. The fact that you might have to start over again, that should be a scary look for some people. Only because, again, you don't know where to start from. It can get critical for you. It's important for some of y'all to, again, try to learn what you can learn. Or basically, again, just refresh what knowledge you do have. Because who knows what else could happen next. I know it's kind of hard sometimes to do it. But the one thing you should remember again is you never quit, you never give up. Like, you try to definitely do what you all can do. Keep your head high while you're in stride because, again, you're showing will, grit, and determination. You're showing that, again, things can be changed and changed for the good. Change will come your way. But yeah, when it comes down to, this situation right here, um, I've always feel that it should be. It should be overlooked, underlooked, and then rebooked. And it needs to be rebooked. I mean, if you feel you have to come down to these scenarios just to try to get what you want, that's always going to be a consistent problem. For those that are confused about what I'm talking about right now, I'm giving my message to these people that need to hear it without being crazy or belligerent. I'm going to say it this way. Y'all in high positions the way you could possibly change what happens in the world. Y'all don't think it's time to revise and revamp the most important aspects to our daily living? Inquiring minds want to know. But see, this is what happens when years, if not centuries, of the most pettiest of disagreements happen with people in high places. Everybody else has to suffer. Now, I'm not gonna lie, there was certain bills that was passed, but those bills in particular, I feel kind of caused and created some of the stifling that we have now. Like I said, if you don't pass certain things into law, if you don't pass certain things that are frivolous, it could change up. Like I said, for a better quality of life, when it comes down to health insurance, that should be the number one priority. Making sure that people have adequate health insurance, whether they can pay for it or not. They should still be able to be entitled to health care. And for some people, again, they ain't gonna be able to pay out of pocket. So if they not gonna be able to do so, you gotta work with them some way, somehow. I'm just giving my view and opinion on how I see things. I see everything that's happening in the world around us through the news or just being out and about. But from what I'm seeing on the news, and not to be funny, this ain't nothing new. Almost every time we came to some form of disagreement on something, look what happens: threatening to shut the government down. But again, at some point, that should just become a thing of the past. This is why it's important on who you try to put into these leader positions. I feel that's one way we actually get some changes done and changes out the way. Knowing who we place in office, knowing who we trust with everything. Just doing your research on things. You know, if you manage to try to place the right people in these positions when it comes down to quote unquote elections, you might actually get some good people in there who see things happen. And this way you know the numbers will beat it. The numbers will be even. The way it's not going to be, we got to do this because we can't agree on this or we can't come to terms with this. Again, what the hell? Why the hell does the government have to shut down for y'all to come to a conclusion on what y'all want to do? Shoot. And like I said, I don't get into these politics talks, but uh, when I do, I'm going to go in about it, like the healthcare. But that's just a part of life. And we ain't even talking about politics. Fuck that. We talking about just in general. Having some form of health insurance is important because for those who got families, even extended families, God forbid something happen to you, how they gonna be able to take care of things when there's nothing? You know, there's nothing to help out with. I don't know. It almost seems like with all the different things that's happening in the world around us, we still not focused on how it's gonna definitely affect everybody, including your families. So I feel as a small portion of the people that at least are looking at it from a logical standpoint, it's time for everybody to start doing something a little more constructive. And that's going to be a little bit more. We say that we can't change certain things, but we can. Again, them numbers got to come together. You have to be willing to stand and fight for something, period. In my opinion, there's not enough people fighting as far as change things as far as the healthcare is concerned. It's not a lot of people. I've always felt those are things that should have been changed even from back in the day. There's certain bills that you should update and add to what you know you can add to. Another thing though, um, it shouldn't be hard for anybody, even if they homeless, to get health care. Now, it's just things that, again, we take for granted that we really shouldn't. Again, when you try to elect the right people in their positions, you make sure that they stick to their guns as far as what they're fighting for. And this way, certain things can change. You're gonna have people who really will unite for those things. Shoot, you can mess around and probably get some programs that was, X'd out, reinstated. It really is sad though. Every time you turn around, these are the tactics that they use to try to either influence or corrupt something. Troop, what's going on, my guy? That's what I said. As the people, we need to unite and unite for something better. Best way to do it. Unite for something better. You could try to change up a lot of the things if we really stand firm. If you have more numbers in these, in these different aspects of the battlefield, you'd be surprised what could really start changing, start making certain motions and movements. You'll definitely get some of it. If life is an automobile, how do you expect to drive your automobile when you don't have the right components? The right components usually be right there, you know. But in some cases, you're gonna have to do it yourself. And that's basically how it works when it does come, at least from what I'm seeing, comes the medical, you know, medical health care. It's Russian roulette. But it's sad because you're playing Russian roulette with multiple, if not billions of lives. Like I said, some people might be affected, some people might not be. Depending on what they trying to change and how they implementing things. And as we see, there's a lot of things right now that are being messed with because of bills that was passed. So I think about it. For some, what you think might not affect you, it will. There's still going to be those who are in their comfort zones, and that's a good thing. That's why I said you got to make multiple moves. You got to attack life from multiple angles. You know, always have some form of a backup plan just in case of certain things start changing. You'll see that it's critical to do so. The things that we talked about, and people have said, yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to do this, and we still ain't do it yet. Those are things you got to think about. We don't know what is going to ensue these next few years. You know, for some of y'all, you haven't done what you should have done, especially if you was blessed to do so when you were supposed to do so. You can't cry about it later, because you had multiple opportunities to change up what you need to change up. Like I was saying earlier, look how many people is getting all this free money and getting all of these amenities from certain scenarios and situations. Now you could possibly have a government shutdown. And if they do, who knows how long it will be for. So for those that were working, especially those with the federal jobs, you already know what it is. More people out of work or more people on furlough. And again, it ain't it ain't worth it. Nobody should have to worry about losing jobs or losing careers over politics when it comes down to that. Nah, this is where things should really change. You know, people have to be more involved, more dedicated to what's important, and it's preservation of life. For those who might be having certain issues, whether it's with their health care, their insurance, or whatever, just make sure you still take in the possible protocols and steps to fix what needs to be fixed. Even if you have to take it to the highest circuit to do so, just make sure you're in a good state so you don't have nothing to worry about. You know, one of the worst things that I believe is having medical issues and also medical bills at the same time. Everybody is going to go through different trials. Like on that level, you definitely got to make sure you straight. So I would advise even some of the older folks, make sure your health coverage and make sure everything is in standing order. So this way you don't have to worry about going through the ring. BMF, I'm cranky because you ain't bring my serious lock the door. Lock the damn door. I'm gonna be cranky every time I don't see them scratch off tickets. So I'm coming here with that. I told you that. As soon as I look at the chat, here you go. Here you go. Nah, it's the truth though. When it comes down to the quality of life, you know, the health should be our preservation. Making sure that things don't get changed for the wrong reasons. Yeah, restructure these bills, but make sure you're not deleting or getting rid of things that are going to be important. But also make it to where everybody could get quality help when they need it. Ain't that what it's supposed to be about? Land of opportunity. helping those reach those goals of opportunities, especially the ones who really need it. I could have swore that's what it's supposed to be. So that's something to look at right there. I'm sorry, but my fault. What the hell? But yeah, I believe in that. I think everybody is entitled to have the best health care, especially when you worked hard, or especially if you are working hard. You know, I feel there are some things that should be lowered down to some degree. And the reason why I say that is because look at the way the inflation is going right now, too. You know, but it's something to think about for those who might need to hear it. Again, better make sure the things that you have in place are still in good standings. There isn't no changes or revises or no unscrupulous things happening because you definitely don't want to be left holding the bag. You know, do I believe certain things should be changed? Yes, I do. Why? Because I feel it's important. It's important that people see again that we have things that are being changed little by little behind closed doors, and we don't have an active say so in nothing because we ain't trying to rise up. We're not trying to rise up the right way. You know, again, you'd be surprised what you could really change. If you stand together firmly on the things that affect everybody, that affects human life. Like for those who was here, y'all know I had a live like that when I said, listen, when it comes down to a lot of different things that we know for a fact goes against us, the humans, and our human rights. Come on now. What does that say? We need to stand up. We need to definitely form a revolt. You gotta think about it. Just in that health field alone, is so much that is required. You know, every time when it comes down to these positions, it's always either a strike about to happen or a possible government shutdown. What's so hard about trying to make sure there's adequate money and adequate, insurance and reassurance for those who need it? You got to do an extensive background on people to see what's what. And you got to be careful too because there's a lot of shady practices going on. And that's another thing that's kind of like crippling things when it comes down to the healthcare. Shoot, if it's not the people scamming, it's the company scamming them damn selves. See, there's a lot of things again that should be taken seriously. Accountability is one of them. We could blame the able-bodied people, right? But we could also blame those who are allowing the able-bodied people to get away with what they're getting away with. I'm sorry, but if you know there's nothing wrong with you, stop trying to take advantage of the programs that you know for a fact can be helping others who need it. Everything from healthcare to social security, all of that. I was coming back to that. I was definitely coming back to that. That quick dollar, that quick scheme, for a lot of y'all, it backfires. Why? Because you're being greedy. If you already blessed to a degree, you're blessed with a roof over your head. If you already are employed and getting to some form of money, if you just sheerly lazy and don't want to work, you really are making people suffer who don't need to suffer. Like I said, trying to keep up with the Joneses instead of trying to keep up with what you need to keep up with, the bare necessities of life. Some people get so caught up when it comes down to money, property, all of these materialistic things that, again, you can't bring with you in the afterlife. Yeah, they try to say you're supposed to do anything to survive, but shoot, at what cost? Give me 1 second, y'all. My bad, y'all. Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties. My bad. I'm back, baby. No, you know what, you gotta think about it. I mean, you gotta really think about that and put that into perspective. For those who have manipulated and utilized and just straight taken away and sucked everything dry from these programs that they didn't necessarily need, you basically took away from those who could be in a better position than they are now. Or you took away from those who definitely needed it. My bad, y'all. Had a technical difficulty. I didn't even realize until I looked back down at the phone. But no, I mean, let's keep it all the way 100. You know, it works both ways. Yes, the person who know they don't need these amenities and don't need these programs, yeah, they at fault because you should know better. You should have that much of common sense to say, you know, how long I think I'm gonna be able to just milk everything dry. The only reason why some people have been successful in doing so is because they know how to play the role. But again, when there's not thorough investigations being looked at, of course, I can get away with anything as long as you allow me to get away with it. which in some cases, that's exactly what it is. Some people have gotten away with the worst of treasons because, again, no thorough investigations being done. Not even to make sure that this is what's really still happening. That would be the equivalent of a job or anything along those lines having a name on their roster, basically, but that person never shows up to work. And you're still paying. So, you got to think about it. When you're not doing your careful research and investigations on certain things, this is what you get. Surprisingly, you might have people who do have no-show jobs who are getting paid just for showing up at least once out the month. Oh yeah, these things still exist. Hey, they still do. Think about those no-show job people who are just getting, and depending on what the money is, that's money being taken away from somebody who could have actually used it. You know, when it comes down to these forms of politics, I'm gonna speak on them and I'm gonna give my view and opinion on it. Like I said, once I get the rest of this info, or once I see what transpires, I'm gonna talk about it again. But I'm gonna also have a little heart to heart with the content creators. You know, the content creators that need to hear this. Never sell yourself short in what you don't. Also, take advice from those who are generally trying to still see you prosper and grow. Don't be afraid to do what's necessary for the betterment of your channel, if that's what you are focused on. You know, keep creating, because at some point you're going to create one of the greatest circumstances and one of the greatest options that you produce. I mean, because yeah, you have an option. And you got to think about it. For some people, this is optional. For others, this could be something that's utilized all around the board. But the one thing you never do, I don't care if you got one channel or more than one channel. If your focus and your goal is to try to make these things happen, even down to monetization, if that's what you plan on doing, the one thing you got to remember is be consistent. If you know you got more than one channel, you utilize those channels for different reasons. You know? One thing to remember too is, again, it takes a lot to bring content. For some people, it comes easy. Others, it don't. For those that is having some form of a struggle, remember, you got to always incorporate and add something to the element. Even if that's what you plan on doing as far as your main content, again, you add extra elements to it. You see what works for you. You look at your analytics, you know, and once you do all of that, you make up your decision on how you're going to do things. From what I've learned on this little journey of mine, you know, you just gotta make sure that whatever you bring, it draws the people in, but also keep them coming back. You might get frustrated because things are not gonna go the way you think they should go. Uh, reality check. Nothing in life is ever gonna go the way you think it should go. There's always some form of a change up, or it could be something the way things can change up. What you have to do is basically adapt. You know, you have to adapt to your situations in life. So I was saying that instance right there. You know, you just take your time. You know, make sure you don't overload yourself and overwork yourself. If you got to take the steps back sometimes to do so, do so. You decide to take a week, take the week. Decide to take a couple days, take those couple days. If you decide to take a month, two, whatever. And again, I'm speaking to those content creators that need to hear it. Do so. This way you'll have a better refresh plan on how you want to move things. James, what's going on, my guy? Y'all already know if y'all just tuned in, hit the like button. And if y'all new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, you gotta think about that. You know, and I'm gonna give the pep talk to the content creators that I know need it. So if it don't apply, let it fly. You gotta understand that when you're bringing what you are bringing to the people, yes, you are giving a portion of yourself and most likely your life. But in the same token, you gotta love what you do. You're gonna get support from the main ones. Other ones only gonna support you up to a certain level. Some people not gonna support you at all. It's okay. That's what comes with the territory. The ones that will support you and continuously support you, those are the ones that should give you inspiration and encouragement that you're going to keep building. You're going to keep coming across the right form of people. If you're thinking about deleting anything, you're sadly mistaken. You're going to be mistaken because, again, you worked hard to do what you need to do. Never stop anything that you're doing prosperous just because. Again, you have the option. You have the option because if you feel like no matter what you tried or what you've done is not working, then you are making that decision because you already know what it entails. So I can't knock those that do decide to do it. But for others who have been working hard, bringing the best content day in and day out, bringing what the people need, hey, think twice before you decide to delete or just stop doing anything. Like I said, if you have to take some time off to just figure some things out, do so. You got to remember, as a content creator, you do have a life outside of social media, whether you working or not. You still have a life outside of social media. So, again, sometimes it's good to take some time off, refresh, you know, unplug. And then when you know you're ready to do what you need to do, bring it. I'll give you a prime example. There's times that I literally have taken days off. Shoot, I just took a whole damn week off basically. Some of y'all need to utilize the YouTube vacations. And that goes for everybody, content creator or not. Sometimes it's best to take that time away and focus on the most important things. And then, you bring yourself back when you know you need to bring yourself back. Promote all the motor oil, James. Promote it. Prime example, I think, Chrissy, did you get that 100 subs yet? Like I said, for those who are just starting to utilize your platforms, keep striving. If your plan is to get monetized, not gonna lie to you, it's a lot of work you're gonna have to put in to do it. And with the way they doing things now, especially on here, the watch hours ain't gonna come as easy. Not when you have people not willing to do the right things to make sure that you do get them and that you grow. Because you're gonna have people like that. Prime example is 10 people that's looking in this chat right now. I guarantee you, a couple of y'all will leave out. I know who my real shadow mafia is. That's why I don't be worried about them. But you have other people who will come in that's not subs to the channel, just watching from the shadows, won't even hit the like button. Trust me, for some of y'all, you're gonna go through a lot. You've experienced a lot. That doesn't mean you let it knock you down. You know, you do what works for you as far as growing your channel, but make sure you bring some form of variety. No doubt, sis, no doubt. Well, you almost did, you know, and that's the goal for a lot of y'all is just trying to get to your destination. I done been to my destination and back on this shit. Would I do it again? Not really, not necessarily. No need to. Already you showed the blueprint on how to just get yourself in order, get everything right. And that's what I'm saying. It's going to take a lot of hard work and dedication, but it's also going to take time. So for those who are trying to build a platforms to where they get monetized, just know you're going to have a lot of work to do. A lot of editing comes into play too if that's what you want to do. There's some things you might not even be able to keep up on your playlist, even if you edit. Because again, if they feel it's a violation of protocol, they have rights to knock it down. But you're also going to have haters who are going to try to do shit too. That's another thing for some of y'all. You don't focus on the hate. You don't focus on the minute nonsense. You focus on being you and building what works for you. If this platform's working for you the way you say it is, you keep striving, keep grinding. See, I'll be honest with you. You got people who are on here just for nothing. You got people who are trying to expand and grow businesses. You got people who this is their career and this is their full-time hustle because they might not be able to work. Things to take into consideration. Yeah, you're gonna have those who try to sabotage and do things. But more and more, you're just gonna have people who, if they are really dedicated to what they do and this is what they love to do, it shows. It shows not in just the quality of content they bring in, but just the overall happiness and joy you see and hearing. Content creation is hard, but being you shouldn't be. Shouldn't be hard to be yourself. Like I said, not everybody gonna be for you, and that's something that some of these content creators need to know. Not everybody's gonna be for you on any level, on any form of support. Those are the ones you already know. You just keep a watchful eye out for. You're also gonna have those who are gonna try to knock you down any way they can because you might be in the position that they've been trying to get to for the longest. Some people just don't want to see others progress in life, which is a sad thing. But you don't let that knock you down either. You're gonna have people that don't agree with your views and opinions. Oh well, those are your views and opinions. If you stand on them, you stand on them. You know, I'm one of those. I don't do sensitive. I can be, but I choose not to do it. I choose not to be sensitive on certain things because I'm raw and uncut. Sorry, never going to sugarcoat you shit. I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear. I'm gonna tell you in my way and fashion. You don't gotta like it. You always have an option, and that's the thing. Content creators remember that people have options. If they decide they're not going to support the content, good riddance. You ain't losing no sleep over it because you're still going to be who you are, and you're still going to maintain what you're maintaining. And life, even in here in social media life, everybody going to find a tribe and they going to stick with it. The main supporters are the ones that you always look to for motivation, but also inspiration. I have a lot of people that I could thank for me getting to where I got to. It's true. It's a lot of people I could thank. Some who started with me from the beginning, and those who made their way here previously over the last few years. I give them all they just do because they all was a part of making the content happen. Whether it was through talks in the chat, talks on the panel, these people help create something. You already created something, but without the people, it's just floating on dead ends. It's good in some cases because you're building, you're growing. You're gonna get your regulars that pop in. You're gonna get new people that pop in. The one thing to remember too for some of you content creators is that you do have to network. I done traveled through some of the best sections of YouTube and some of the worst sections of YouTube. I still have not been in a lot of these sectors because it's just too damn many. And you gotta think about it, this is a big ass app. I walk through certain communities and just been myself. So that's what a lot of you have to do too. Just be yourself. Be confident in yourself and just know that if you plan on growing, this is what happens. This is what's gonna happen. You know, Blackout, what's going on, my guy? See, Blackout is a perfect example. My brother, you done seen me go everywhere, at least in certain sections where you be like, damn, he here? But you network. You network with the right people. Because regardless to what, you're gonna always have people who want to see what your content is about. They want to see if this is something they could get down with. You know, and you're gonna have those who will. You're gonna have those who ain't. Like I said, I can't say that I necessarily started in a sector because I wasn't aware of sectors. This is why I say what I say. I'm not in no sector. I'm an honorary everybody right now. Shoot, honorary everywhere I go because again, I just go where I know the vibes are good. If I don't get no ill vibes from the people, I can rock out with you, network, whatever. And that's what some of y'all gonna be having to do. You'd be surprised. Shoot, even some of the nicest people be flowing through areas you're not expecting them to. But again, that's a part of the process. You got to network no matter what, man. Nowadays, everyone beefing. If you don't back them, you're an asshole too. Yeah, I know. But that's why you learn not to get caught up in some of these things. And you're right, serious. Got to reflect, recalibrate, and recharge. Matter of fact, I should post that up. I should pin that up, dang it. Because that's what some people need to really relegate to. You know, you can't give all of your time and energy to something. Why I say it like that for? Because if you ain't got the time to really do it, it ain't gonna work. And that's the thing. Everybody is gonna have places they want to go to. For those that are looking for the positive content, they're gonna go where the content is at. For those who looking for the laughs, the shits, the giggles, and the entertainment, they're gonna go where they're gonna go to. Some people might like a variety. So for those who are still building their channels and still getting to it, hey, just know this is what happens on here. Chrissy, if you're still in the building, that goes for you too. Because I know you trying to grow, sis. I know you trying to do what's necessary. But just notice what comes down with the content creation. You have to give time and energy where it's needed. So whether you doing live streams, uploads, short videos, even down to your post, there's a lot of things that go into being a good content creator and bringing something to the people that's necessary. Me, I'm organically growing and still growing. Because again, it's good to have talks with the people, you know. No doubt, Blackout, you already. That's what I'm saying. You're gonna go through things. You might make some mistakes. You might come across some people that ain't showing certain things yet, but they will. You know, like I said, when you can't read people, you just let things play out. But when you know you can read certain things, you do what's necessary. You know, your growth does depend on the people, but it also depends on the right people that's helping with the growth. Oh, Blackout, that's because you listen, Blackout, brother, man, like everybody else that know me, man. I got time for all that extracurricular bullshit. That's not getting me nowhere. That's not helping. And that's not the demographic. At least not my demographic. My demographic is to have great conversations, but also bring some fun to it as well, no matter what it is. And that's what a lot of y'all have to remember too. You add different things and elements to your channels, you know, and you go with what works the best. If the story times is working for you, do that. If you're doing vlogs and it's working for you, do it. You're doing premieres and anything else that's working for you. Some people, the short videos work better for them. Again, it's all up to you and what you decide to do and how you decide to utilize your platform. So just remember, it don't make sense to put in all that hard work and dedication and time and then get rid of it. You'd have did all that for nothing. Put your time and energy into the things that you know are necessary that works for you. I put my time and energy into every conversation I bring to the people. That's because it's unscripted. I ain't reading from no teleprompter, and I don't write none of my shit down. There's no need to. You shouldn't have to write down what you speak to the people when it's coming from the soul. Like I said, I'm gonna have conversations that people might not agree with. I'm gonna have my intake and my takes on things. Again, it's my views, my opinions. But I value people's views and opinions as well too. You know, and that's the thing. Again, for some of y'all that are building and growing, for some of y'all that might not have gone through the ringer yet, at some point you will. But everybody goes through the ringer when they're a content creator. And the reason why I say they go through the ring is because they're going to go through the ring of emotions and fire. There's too many emotional people when it comes down to certain scenarios. Hence why you're not going to get the solid growth and build and support that you should get. You got people who will worry about if this is a channel almost on some Jerry Springer type shit. You're going to have those who wonder if you're going to be able to stay afloat and stay on point with the content. Me, I've always kept it consistent. Because again, these are talks we need. This is what will bring back the process of critical thinking. And not just for one person, but for multiple people, if not for everybody. I don't plan on changing certain things just because. I shouldn't have to bash nobody's skull in or do anything outside of just to gain that view and attention. Logical, what's going on, my guy? What's going on, man? You know, and those that know it. Now listen, true New Yorker right here. I'm not I'm not, fascinated with certain things. To be quite honest, there's certain things I don't even think twice about. And if I gotta think twice about something, that means that's something I need to analyze. There's too many people who lean on emotions instead of leaning on logic. And this is another reason why there's some things that can never be changed from the inside out. But if we learn to get past that and get back on the critical and logical thinking of the game itself, we can change things, you know? Hey, yo, logical, I told you, copyright infringement, son, copyright infringement. Chrissy, don't listen to him, baby. About to say serious, lock the door again. Logical can't leave up out of here now. We got beef. Yeah, I mean, because come on now, man. Listen. Another reason why I think certain things getting out of place, especially on this app, is because it's oversaturated. You know, it's oversaturated with too much of almost the same content. Then almost everywhere you go, just like how Blackout said, everywhere somebody's beefing. Somebody's beefing and arguing over something. My thing is, I'm not beefing, arguing, going back and forth with you. None of that shit for what? Now, you say something out of line, you say something stupid that I really stand against, I'm going to be on your ass. That's just me. I got time to be going back and forth with people that ain't worth it. That's what I'm saying. We gotta just remember, everybody is here for something different. So what you might be here for, the next person ain't gonna be here for. Does that mean y'all should stop building together? No. Again, when it comes down to content creation, you're gonna get different people from all sectors. If they really vibe with you and vibe with the content, they're gonna remain loyal. They're gonna definitely remain consistent. And that just goes to show you anything could be achieved in what you're doing as far as the content is concerned. Just be yourself. I would advise those who are trying to do content, like I said one time before you think of pushing the live button, know what you bring into the people and make sure that it has some form of substance. I can have these talks because, again, I'm bringing substance to a platform. I'm bringing substance to where people are getting back to thinking. If you don't know what you coming on here for, if you don't know what your thing is going to be, and I don't care what platform you utilize, don't hit a live button. There's some people that come on in, they just sit there and look at the screen. Like, they might read the chat, but they just be looking at the screen. Don't have nothing to bring of substance. You just hitting that live button just to hit that live button. Think twice before you do it, because that's almost a waste of time. And some things I don't consider content, really. But that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna just leave it like that. But again, know what you're doing. See, I didn't have to do this. I chose to do this. I didn't want to do it, but I needed to do it. See how I said the once first, and I didn't have to, but I did. That's because I decided to do it. It was my decision to do it. Bring something that the people could get down with. Healthy forms of conversation. Problem solving and solutions the best way possible. Even if it is through an app. Because at some point, we all going to have to start thinking for ourselves and what's best for us. When you got people who brainwashed on certain scenarios, guess what? They're going to remain brainwashed. See the bigger picture. Welcome back, Geraldine, baby. But it's just, you're going to have different people, different personalities. That's life. Forget social media. This is just life. You're going to come across and deal with a multitude of different personalities, attitudes, so on and so forth. Your goal is, again, surround yourself with the right type of energy, the right form of people. Stay solid and stand firm in what you're doing. You don't let nothing knock you down. Like I said, everybody's on here for something different, whether they trying to get monetized or not. I could care less if I ever get monetized again. I've already been to the mountaintop for that little time frame. And enjoyable as it wasn't necessarily a thing. Didn't honestly care. The one thing I will tell those who are monetized or still lucky to be monetized, as hard as it was for you to get there, it's easy for them to take it. So make sure you're doing all the necessary steps to stay within the guidelines and the rules of this app and any app that you use, because again, they can snap that shit in a heartbeat. And now you either got to start over again or it ain't gonna have the same impact. But I would also tell y'all too, because there are some of y'all who just believe that it's always about the money once you get monetized. Monetization, in my opinion, is like the hustle game in the street. You might have days, everything flowing, you're gonna have dead days. You can't do nothing on dead days. You might make the bare minimum. You be thankful and be lucky for everything that you get because again, those people don't have to donate and they don't have to give. Be genuine, you know. I appreciated everybody who was contributing when I was monetized. I appreciated every last one of y'all. And y'all didn't have to. I wasn't even looking for nothing. So again, for those who are pushing for monetization, if not already monetized, know what happens and what ensues when you get there. And you definitely gonna have to change some things up even more because if not, you would definitely lose it and you'll be sitting there waiting for a minute for it to happen again. And in some instances, you might have to delete some things, which I feel is, in my opinion, I'm sorry, stupid. Because if you're working hard to do what's necessary, man, listen, that's the whole creative process of being a content creator. You're bringing things that you know you need. And again, how can you get mad about it? How do you expect people to bring their best and be their best and you trying to stifle them? See, like I said, I could go about this both ways. I could look at it from the content creator aspect, but I could also look at it from a different aspect. You want people to create and keep coming back to these platforms. But the freedom of expression on both levels, freedom of speech on both levels, makes it difficult for some. Oh, oh, logical. Oh yeah, let me also give this notification out to those who need to hear it. If you reuse any content, even if it is your own, they could take your monetization. That's how they got me. I was trying to recycle and refurbish and re-put out something because I didn't understand why the videos I posted before that and even after that was getting more of the algorithm. The one that would be my downfall was that one, which I couldn't understand. And out of all the ones that I did, it wasn't as gory, it wasn't as whatever, and it wasn't made for kids. And yet and still, it wasn't getting no nothing. So you could lose monetization, but reuse content. You could lose monetization over what you say and what you do on it. So, you know, these are things you got to worry about. Even if you, prime example, you run a show, you got guests that's coming on your show, you're not always going to be responsible for what comes out their mouth, but you will be held some form of responsible. Because if you know for a fact that person is really uncut and don't care, if you still choose to bring them up there, you have to also let it be known that the views and opinions being expressed and shown by the others, it does not reflect on the host itself. Because there's people who have come up here, prime example, who have said some things that I didn't agree with, but yet and still, I let it be known those are not my views and opinions. But I allow people to speak their mind. I don't like to have people uncensored when it comes to certain things, man. Yeah, man. Like I said, bro, when it comes down to that, that's the only thing for those who really are trying to make something out of this. I'm not stopping you from doing so, but just know the simplest things can get you demonetized. So, if you think this is what it's worth, then hey, strive to keep doing what you got to do. And for some people, again, it's not about the money. So, like I said, with me, it wasn't about the money. Still ain't about the money. When I got monetized, it was because I worked hard and I showed some people, especially those who know me personally, that was watching and just seeing how this thing works out. Showing them that, look, this is what you might have to do. You know? Yeah. If you got certain things being said and done in the chat and it's promoting any form of racism, violence, uh, unbiased, and everything else, yeah, they can get you. Because apparently, from what I did see, like I said, they changed so much stuff up. Now it's making it hard for the content creators who have already been here. It's making it hard for them to a degree. Because again, it's almost going to be essentially you're going to be censored for everything. Why you think in some instances they tell you within the first 5 minutes of the video, you can't curse or do nothing? You know? The main thing to remember is not getting your channel striked or getting it clapped. And when I say clap, that means they taking the whole thing and you can't do nothing. You want to go through all of that. You bring what you could bring on any platform that you want, but stay within the guidelines. Oh yeah, no, I know. Yo, trust me. Listen, there's a lot of different things that people have seen, and like I said, there's loopholes to everything, but who want to keep going through loopholes? Don't make no sense. So whatever you plan on doing as far as your content, again, you be strong, you be faithful in what you're doing, and just keep adding, keep building. You'll eventually get to where you want to get to if you plan on taking your platform to bigger and greater heights. To be quite honest, when it comes down to me, it doesn't really matter. Numbers don't matter when it comes to certain aspects of my life. Hence why I don't get too uptight or get upset about certain things that most people would. I don't get upset about the views. I don't get upset about the numbers. I don't get upset about none of that. My goal is to make sure that this damn message got out regardless. I don't care if it was only one person that heard it throughout the night. I've had nights like that. Think I cared? Hey, I gotta do what I gotta do, you know? And that's another thing for a lot of y'all. Just do what you gotta do. Do what works for you. Do what's gonna continuously keep building and growing your channel. There's some people who never get monetized or who have tried it and didn't get monetized just because they channel or whatever content that they promote don't fit the YouTube. So, yeah, hey, it's a catch-22 when it comes to how you gonna play this game, but if you're doing it the right way, you'll get there. And once you get there, your goal is just to stay there if that's what you really want to do. You know. But again, just know it does require work. It does require determination. But it also requires skill. The reason why I say it requires skill is because some people don't have the skill to talk with people. Some people don't have a skill of keeping a crowd engaged. Some people don't know what they're actually doing. And that's another thing. When you have in a situation where everybody wants to be a content creator, how do some of y'all expect to grow and build when everybody wants to be the content creator? It was almost like that talk with Dame Dash, how they say, oh, everybody should want to be a boss. But then who's going to work for you? How you expect everybody to be a boss? So who's going to be doing the things that you know you can't do by yourself? It takes a team. It does take a team. It takes the right team of people to make something work and make something happen. You know. But just remember too, when good advice is being given, if you feel it's going to help you in a certain way, utilize it. Nothing wrong with that. Some people refuse to listen to advice, and that's why they're not growing. Some people would rather take a shortcut instead of just grow organically. I can honestly say I never brought a sub and will never buy one. I don't do no botting because I don't know what the hell that botting shit is. There's certain things that I won't put into my elements because I like to get it from the mud up. And that's what you got to remember too. Everything that you build comes from the ground up. So you're going to have to get dirty. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, when it's all said and done, it's going to be a bountiful experience for you basically. Because again, you took the necessary steps and you did it the right way. That's just like for some channels when you look at them, some of them got that quote unquote silver plaque, which means again, they took their time, they did the right things, they didn't take no shortcuts, and they got everything legit. You know, at some point you gotta realize the shortcuts you try to take on here to try to get successful, they only gonna be a short time of success you might have. Oh, anytime you do see something like that happening, just know that again, in some instances, people ain't doing right. Now, if you had 100 subs this week, and by next week you got almost 20,000 subs, it's impossible. It's impossible. So just know you're taking a shortcut, but that shortcut is not going to help you get towards any form of monetization right away. And if anything, if your highest goal is to try to get that plaque, you ain't going to get it if it's not all legit numbers. They still follow the analytics. Don't think that. They still follow analytics. They could tell which channel is actually growing and which one is actually just buying up subs and views. Nah, you want to make sure everything you do is good. You shouldn't have to boost your views, even in a chat, just for you to get your numbers. Point blank, period. Some days you're going to gain the numbers, you're going to get the algorithm. Sometimes you ain't. But again, you need to have something of substance and something that's consistent. You know, and I think that's something that some of y'all should think about. And for those again who do plan on being future content creators, what I've said in this portion of the live, that's what it entails. You know, you're gonna definitely have to do what's conducive for you and your growth. And when you realize you might have people who are stunting in that growth, don't be scared to cut it off. Don't be scared to cut that chain. That's basically about it. You know, think that it's important. It's very important again for some of y'all to just utilize your platforms to the fullest capabilities that you can. You know, and again, don't be ashamed and don't be afraid to do what you need to do. Don't try to change who you are as a person just to try to gain the people. Just be yourself. Henny, what's going on, my guy? You know, that's what I'm saying. You know, some people basically got it on lock. Some people have it to where, it's not a problem. But don't take nothing for granted because, again, some of these people work their asses off to get where they need to get to. And some of you are working hard as we speak now, trying to get to where you're trying to get to. Don't let nothing discourage you or stop you from bringing the best content and being the best you. And again, when you know you need to take the necessary step back, whether it's for your mental health. Gummies, what's going on? What's going on, baby? Think about it. If you have to take those step backs for whatever reason, even if it might have to deal with your health, do so. Because again, those are the most important keys. You can't bring content if you're not healthy or if you're not in some form of good health on either aspect, physically or mentally. There's going to be days you're going to be stressed the hell out. That's every content creator. That's also a part of life. The goal is to not allow that stress to overwork you. Some people will stress out because they don't know, why their channels are not gaining the traction or why they're not gaining the support. But again, you got to remember this too. The right people will follow you. The right people will definitely keep coming back consistent. So you focus on that for now. Your numbers will show, your support will show. Hey, the bigger you grow, the more people come in. You know. And you also got to remember this too. For some of y'all, this shit is worldwide. So there's gonna be people that support you that are not on this side of the world. They could be on the other side of the world. Right now, it's 10:23 in the evening, New York City time. Probably 9 something for those in the mid areas. You know, areas like Chicago and Texas and shit like that. An hour behind New York City, so it's 9 o'clock there. It's just 7 o'clock in Cali. It's 5 o'clock still in Hawaii. On the other side of the world, it could already be morning time. So depending on what time you plan on doing your live streaming, that's another thing that could come into play. So I would say for those that need to hear it, plan a certain time and stick with it. You see why I've been doing my nights lately. Because y'all know this is what I was doing before. I was doing the nights. But I feel that any time during the day I got something I want to bring to the people, then I'll bring it. But I'll still put a time reminder. That's another thing to remember too for a lot of y'all, especially the new ones. Sometimes your notifications ain't going to go out. Some people might get them, some people ain't. When it comes down to what you're trying to achieve, you take the necessary steps in getting to that achievement. And once you have achieved it, the rest is up to you. The goal is to keep it, you know? Bronze, what's going on, my guy? But you just got to remember that. You know, it is important, man. It's important that you keep yourself on the up and up. But also remember to balance yourself out. Because again, you're a content creator, but you have a real life to think about. You have a real life to take care of outside of here. This might be your social media life, but in your actual life, you might have things you need to take care of. So whether you decide to do a live stream every day, two live streams a day, don't matter how you try to do it, you got to make sure you are putting down a time reminder. But I would honestly say for those who have multiple channels, for you not to burn yourself out, shoot, you focus on the ones that are the most important, you know? Because again, you got to have time to deal with a lot of different scenarios. And then you need time on here because, again, you want to make sure you right for the people. But if you know you ain't going to have the time and the space to do it, you do it when you know you do. Great content isn't rushed, you know, but it also shouldn't be that hard to bring either. And just know that, guess what? You know, you're going to have people who just ain't going to be willing to support you. And it's okay. Your focus is continuously growing no matter what. Your support will come. And as long as you got the support from the main people, again, that should be your inspiration. That should definitely be your go to. Because by looking at them, you could honestly see that, you know, you're going to definitely have great people like those people who are going to come along and stay for the ride, you know. And for everybody else, hey, it's their loss. Like I said, there's things that you want to be mad about, can't be mad about. And I can tell you this from experience as a content creator and as a overall human being. There's just some things I'm never going to be too upset about, not going to think twice about. And in some instances, I'm not going to care about because it's not affecting me as a whole. Now, when there are things that are affecting you, that's when you have to take the necessary protocols and steps. So just remember that. It ain't easy, especially if you don't know what you're bringing. It's not going to be easy. But shoot, even if you know what you're bringing, even if you know what your blueprint is, still not going to be easy. Because you have to go through the necessary steps and protocols to get there. So just remember that. Um, Not going to hold y'all all night. I was going to drop the link earlier, but I know when it comes down to certain things, I know that people ain't that interested or invested in it. And for those who are, you know, I appreciate y'all. But just remember that again, you know, nothing in life is going to come easy. You're going to have to fight. You know, you're going to have to fight tooth and nail to get where you have to get to. And that's the whole beauty of growth. You're not going to be in the same places that you once was. You know, you're going to always keep elevating no matter what. For those who are building, you're on the way to elevation in multiple ways. Elevation as far as your channel is concerned, you know, and elevation as far as you overall as a person. When you know what you've come for and you know what you came to do, shouldn't nothing stop. So just remember, you know, when the going does get tough, shit, still keep going. At some point, you will definitely land in a good space. You will definitely land in a well earned spot. And you can feel great about your accomplishments and your achievements because you didn't quit. That's the goal for the night. Don't quit. That's the goal for life. Don't quit in nothing that you do. Anything good that's prosperous and giving you growth, don't stop it. But I appreciate everybody who did tune in. Um, Again, for those celebrating birthdays, I didn't forget about y'all. Didn't forget about y'all. Again, hopefully y'all enjoy your birthdays. Another year and another blessing around the sun. You know, enjoy every moment of your life and give your praises where it's due. And again, if you're one of the lucky ones, we should definitely give it where it's due. Enjoy your birthday week, birthday weekends. You know, keep creating memories. And I didn't forget about you. Hold on. But I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. The conversation I am going to have tomorrow, yeah. I'm gonna definitely have the link pin and trigger warning just in case, because I know again some of these topics can be triggering to some. So again, it's always good to bring some form of a conversation to the people because again, we got to get back to critical aspects of thinking. How do we expect the things in our reality to change when we're not willing to compromise and again do what's necessary? And the topic I'm bringing tomorrow, like I said, I'm definitely going to delve deep into that because I feel it's needed. So appreciate everybody that's been a part of the build, still becoming a part of the build. And yes, we still got great conversations and we still got great content. I know some of y'all been missing the AI drops. I've been missing it too. I've been missing it too. But uh we might make a revisit in the next week or so. So, I try to keep certain things under wraps because, they don't play fair on here. So, hold on. Before I do get up out of here, I see y'all having a battle of the teacups and the coffee cups. So, my bad, y'all. My bad, y'all. I'm gonna need y'all to stop fighting right now. Yeah, yeah. Let y'all finish having y'all battle. But yeah, I appreciate everybody that rocked out. And like I said, I could be back at the same time tomorrow. If not, give or take 9:30 the latest. Because I'm definitely going to talk on this next topic. I was going to bring it up today, but I feel we needed to talk about some of this situation as far as the possible government shutdown over the medical and the Medicare of the situation. And to be quite honest, the only thing I can say is that I wish they would change certain aspects of these health bills so this way everybody could benefit. This way everybody could have adequate and equal health care. Nobody has to worry about paying too much out of pocket or not being able to pay out of pocket. Telling me to stay out that damn bit, man. You ain't that damn grown. Hold on. You ain't that damn grown. I'm grown. Oh, you lucky I ain't bring my AI up. All right. Don't worry. I ain't worried about it. See, this is why I'm gonna have to bring this sucker back. I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to bring this sucker back. I'm gonna bring back baby Cleophas. Don't worry. Talking about stay out of grown folks' business. Y'all not grown. Nah, but I appreciate everybody that rocked out for real. And I appreciate all my great mods. I appreciate everybody who really has been an inspiration and still continuously being inspirations to the channel. I appreciate all the new ones who popped in, and hopefully you continuously pop in. You know, so let me get my ass up out of here. It's time for me to do some adulting. But yeah, tomorrow's conversation again might be trigger warnings for some because you might have people who probably might have been through that or know people who have gone through it. So, and I will have the link pinned. So y'all already know what it is. Y'all more than welcome to hit the pen. If y'all was new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Shout outs to the replay game. Shout outs to the Shadow Mafia and the Shadow Babies. Y'all know what it is, baby. For everybody that was in attendance tonight, y'all already know that love is love and they'll be reciprocated as such. I don't know how to be fake. All I can do is give you real. That's all I'm going to do is give you real topics and real builds. And I'm going to leave y'all out with a little nonsense. Go ahead, I'm going to leave y'all with a little nonsense. Put your coffee and your teacups down and get on the dance floor real quick. Rooney, what's going on, my guy? What's going on, man? You late for church? You late for church, brother? You gotta catch the replay, definitely. Oh, yeah. Let me get my ass back to being an adult. But like I said, for those who might just be tuning in, if y'all interested, trust me, bring yourselves in for that live tomorrow night because I think that's something we really need to discuss as a whole, as a community and society as a whole. Because some of these things that we about to speak about tomorrow, we could actually change that. We just got to really be willing to do it, you know. But yeah, y'all stay safe. Keep that third eye open. Until the next live, we out of here. Peace and blessings.